Hi guys, welcome to another askzenler. So in this workshop what I want to do is just try and sort of give you maybe a little bit of inspiration for your blog pages. Blog's such a major release from us, and we see a lot of the blogs in there just in the default format, which is good, but you've got lots of flexibility in the system to make it really unique and really attractive for other people, and also blend in with your style. So I'm just going to run through a few things that you can do just to make it look really good. So here we go. So I'm on my Surf Dude site, and this is basically the same format as out of the box, except I've just changed this image. Giving a very striking image at the top is going to, and the colors that you use are going to make it look really attractive. Now the rest of this is pretty much the same, apart from like down here where I added a kind of form into the actual page. This is the blog post page, by the way. So you've also got under here blog categories as well, so you can set these up yourself. I'll be showing you how to do that, and of course like the blog link there. So if I click through to the blog, let's just have a look at it as I've got it at the moment. So you can see a lot of stuff going on, because this is basically for a tutorial. You can see I've still got this form down the bottom. So let's make it look more attractive. I'm going to start with the first page, which is the main blog page, and this will show more of the test. So I'm going to put a few more blocks in here just so that you can sort of see the format, and then we're going to change things up a little bit. Now I'm just going to get rid of myself from the screen so that you can have a clearer picture of what is going on. Alright, so we're going to use some editing and just change a few things here. The first thing is this block here. Now this is generated from the actual blog post itself. So if I go into the blog post, you're going to see under blog, let's go to blog, go to settings, and this part and this part are generated from that generate this. But we don't have to have that in there. You know, you don't have to have that in that text if you don't want to. We can take it out. So if I go into edit page, we can come into this area and I can just remove it and replace it with whatever text I like. So here we are on the page. You can see this is a dynamic block area that's been set up, but I don't need to have any of this. I could come into here, this block, this row, and I could just delete it all out and click delete. That way I haven't got it at all, and I can add my own elements if I want to. So I can go into here and I can just add a normal block, add an element, maybe an H1 heading, and I could come in here and call and actually label it myself. So I can bypass that system, no problem. So let me go and put something in here. Put something like that, come into here, change it, and increase this size. I'll put the size to about 60 or something. There we go, nice and big. And I can add some more elements in here if I wanted to as well. Let's just go and add some text. Something like that. Come into here, maybe make this text about 32. Let's make it black so it stands out. And hit save, and there we go. So we've actually got rid of that block itself. But I'd like to do even more. You know, I'd like to put something along here that makes it a little bit more fancy. So we're going to do a bit of image editing to be able to do this, and we're going to be using pixlr to do this. So I'm going to go to PIX, and it's pixlr.com. This is a free editing tool that you can use. So we're going to jump into that now, and here we go. And I've got an account, it's a free account with them. Just going to go into pixlr, and I'm going to go and open my image up. So I'm going to do this from scratch for you guys so you can sort of see what's going on. So I'm going to go create new, I'm going to be setting a width in here. I want to do it well over width, so I'm do it 3000. I'm going to give it height of about 5000, yeah, and I'm going to click create. It's going to give me a big canvas. Now it's checker because it's transparent. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is fill this with color. We're going to turn it off later, but I'm going to fill it with colors to start with. So first thing to do is come down here, make sure that you're on white, pick a white out, click OK. Then we're going to go to the fill tool here, and I'm just going to drop white in there. So it'll all go white now. Now next thing I want to do is pull in my image. So I'm going to go and I'm going to open an image. So I'm going to go and locate an image, which is this one, I think, and I'm going to click open. Here it is here. Notice it's in a new tab. So let's now take this image and put it into this page. So I'm going to go into this image, I'm going to go select all, I'm going to go edit, I'm going to go copy, I'm going to come into there and I'm going to go paste. Bang, it's in there. Now I'm going to use this and I'm going to pull this out, just make it bigger. Now I don't want to pull it too far out because otherwise my pixels will get blurred, but that's going to be fine. So I'm going to drop that image in there. So I'm going to change tools to drop that image in there. And now I can close this one down because we're finished with it. So I'm going to hit the close. Now I want to do some elaborate things in here just to make it look interesting inside my blog page at the top. So I'm thinking of something like some kind of like wavy pattern going along the bottom here. I think that looked quite nice, quite quick and easy to do. I'm not going to spend too long. I'm going to get you started and I'm going to spend a bit of time on it and then you can watch me when I come back. But what I need to do is create a new layer because these are all independent layers. As you can see, you can turn them off and on in here and you can jump between them. So the active layer that you're on is the one that you've got selected. So I'm going to create a new empty layer by coming down here to this little plus icon and I'm going to come across to empty here. I'm going to click empty and there we go, it's in there. Now you can rename these as well if you want to. You can click in here and you can rename this and I'll just call this something like circles. Okay, you can also rename this as well, so you can, it's a good idea to rename them all. Main image and then click enter. Main image, this is background, so I'll just rename that in here as well, BKG for short, and there we go. So I'm going to go back to my active circles layer and the first thing I'm going to do is come into this little marquee tool and I'm going to select circle ellipse in here. And what I want to do is create some nice kind of patterns going through this. So I'm going to look at sort of where I want to kind of move this to and I'm going to kind of play around with it a little bit. So if it's wrong you can always come in and redo it just until it looks good. So I'm going to look at something like that. Can move it down a little bit here. That's not bad. Okay, remember on this empty layer. So I'm now going to go to the fill tool and I'm going to select a blue, a nice blue, something like that. Click OK. I'm going to drop that in there. So with my bucket tool I've dropped it in there. I'm going to press the Control D to get rid of these little outlines. And then I'm going to use the marquee tool again. And I'm going to pull a shape out of this. It can be a little bit fiddly sometimes, but that looks kind of what I'm after. That looks good. Now I'm going to delete it. So I've deleted that out. So Control D to get rid of that again. And now I'm going to actually make this a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go to the little selection tool here. I'm just going to drag this off. So that looks quite nice. Back to this tool. That will set that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the magic wand and we get a line there. So I'm going to click in here and it's going to mark, it's going to actually select everything inside. This magic wand will select colour. So if I clicked in here it would just select this, and because there's a line, because this cuts right across the image, it'll only select what's in that area, yeah, because it ends there. So I'm going to select in there. I'm going to come back to our master image, going to go on that layer and I'm going to hit the backspace and it's going to cut it out. So now we cut this out, it's going to give us something a little bit more interesting. Now what I'd also like to do is actually put an overlay over this image. So I'm going to come down to this layer and I'm going to just create an empty layer in here, which I'm going to fill with this blue that I've got here. You can pick any blue you like. I'm just going to use fill, and I'm going to fill this. So it's going to fill it with blue, but what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the opacity. So if I click that little three icons at the side here, these three little buttons, we can just bring this transparency down. So you can create that nice overlay look, and then I can click that to close it. What I need to do now though is get rid of this where it's still tinted under here. So I'm going to go back up to the circles layer, and I'm going to use the magic wand here. Just click that, click in there, just going to click there. I'm going to come down to this layer, and we're deleting it out. So there we go. So now we've got that nice overlay on the top of it. You can see there the effect. So it's quite different. Remember, if you're not happy with it, you can change that opacity a bit more if you want to. Yeah, it's up to you. And that's that done. So now with this bottom layer, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate it. So I'm going to come down here, I'm going to duplicate it, and I'm going to bring it down a little bit here, so it's like this. Okay, maybe bring it back a bit. So we're kind of adding a little bit of stuff going on. Now I want to change the color of this as well. So we can do that easily enough. We can use the bucket again, and I can choose maybe a slightly darker color here, and I can just drop it in there. You can see it's changed color. Now I'm going to duplicate it again, and we're going to build it up. So I'm going to duplicate this again. Once again, we're going to move this position wise here, and I'm going to go in and choose a different color. So I'm going to choose more, maybe go a little bit more into the green, something like that. Click OK. You can use the magic wand. I'm going to drop that in there like that. Use the move. I just move it a little bit more there, so you give it this nice effect going on. That's pretty cool. So that looks a little bit different for your blog page. So that's good. I'm happy with that. I might do some minor adjustments on this layer. I'm not sure. I'm going to adjustments here, and we can actually go in and change a little bit on things like the levels. So these are just level changes. This is the intensity of the image in some areas. So I'm just going to come down and kind of crunch these a little bit more, so it's just a little bit more vibrant. Click OK. Now I'm going to need to make this a little bit darker as well, so because I've just increased it, and that's good, and that looks nice. So this will be our new header image for it. So let's go in and export this out now. So I don't need it, if I'm on a white background, I don't need to make it transparent. Yeah, I could make it transparent, but if I'm on, as my blog is white, I'm going to leave it on a white background. So I'm actually just going to export this whole image out. So we're going to go into here, and we're going to go save, and I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and we're going to call this blog post 1, and I'm going to save it high quality. I'm going to put this on 100% because Zenler automatically will actually optimize it and compress it. So I'm going to click download now, and that's going to download. I'm going to go into my folder where my image is, close that. Okay, and now I've got that, I'm going to jump into my blog post, and we're going to go into the blog settings. So I'm going to go to blog settings, we're going to go into the blog page, I'm going to click edit, and in here we're just going to drop an image in. So here we go, inside this area I'm going to click this little settings tab. I'm going to go across to my background image, and I'm going to go and select the new one. So I'm going to go to upload, I'm going to go and find it on my desktop, and there it is there, and I'm going to click open. Now that's going to give me this little box, you know, but I'm going to go upload without crop. And here we go. So we've got something going on now. So I'm going to click in here now, and we're going to increase the size of this. So I'm going to go into here, into this row, sorry, and we're going to put some spacing through this. There's maybe a bit too much room. That's a bit too much. So I'm actually going to come in here and I'm going to bring this down. So I'm back in here and I'm going to bring this down to about here. I'll also bring this up as well. Okay, and I'm just going to select another tool. That's going to crop it down. So it means I have to save it back out again, but that's all right. It's no problem at all. Let's call it blog post again. 100% download. And that's opened in Photoshop, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to go to my downloads folder. And there it is there. Drop it onto my desktop, back into here, and we're going to update it. So this is good because you can just play around, and you know, if you need to update things, it's not a problem. Where is it? There it is. Click open. I'm not going to crop it. And now it should give us a much better crop. There we go. So it looks a bit better going on the side. We still need a bit more space down the bottom, but that's all right. What I can do is I could just duplicate this out. Get rid of these. And there we go. Got something that's a little bit too much there. So I'm just going to bring this padding in. That's about right. Click save. And I've also got a white tint on this, so it's not looking as powerful as it should, because you notice I've got overlay, so I'm going to turn that off. There we go. That's a bit better. And straight away now we've got a totally different look. So if I come into the blog page now and we hit the refresh button, we're going to have something like that, which obviously looks a lot better. You know, it's a little bit kind of off the side there, so I probably need to make it a bit bigger. What I can do, little trick, is click in here, and where you've got the image position, we're going to position it by the bottom. So I'm going to go bottom center, and it will lift everything up. Now that means that I might have to put some room in at the top to pull it down, and maybe use a little bit of padding spacing at the top there just to bring it in. That looks a lot better. In fact, I can get rid of that one now because I don't need it. Oop, maybe I do. Control Z. And there we go, we've got something like that. Let's click in here again, little fiddly bits. Let's put 500 in here, and I'll take this back to 0. Let's increase this to 700. That's better. And maybe just 8. That pushes that in the middle. I think I'm going to put this center. That's good. click save. So it's a little bit fiddly because you've got to say where you want the image to align to. But if I come into this now and I hit the refresh button, there we go, we got something like that. So it's a lot more interesting. You know, you can play around with that top area. Let's do top center. So the only problem is, like, there's so much gap between this and this. So unless you've got a lot of content you're going to put in there, we're going to have to go back and change a little bit of this. So I'm going to just cancel this and I'm going to make a few little adjustments. So I'm actually going to take these little bars here and I'm going to move it all up like that. Almost like he's on the wave there. I'll make it a bit bigger. That's pretty good. Okay, and I kind of like that. Looks good. Okay. And this is the whole creative side. This is where you can just play around. And I'm going to go down to this image now. I'm going to use the circle ellipse. And I want to kind of get that kind of circle going across, maybe something like that. And now I'm going to come into the image there and I'm going to hit the delete there. I'm going to come into that one, I'm going to delete that out as well. Press Ctrl D and select these again. I'm shift selecting these, by the way, to move them as one block. Oh, I actually think that looks better. Let's bring this up a little bit here. Change the tool, that's good. It's just little tweaks now. Delete that out. Delete that out. That's good. Let's try this. Okay, so that's been exported out now. So I'm going to jump back in my blog and we're going to try another one. You can see these are much longer and I've cropped it all in now. So let's upload without cropping. And that looks better. I'm not sure about these little end bits. I might have to just adjust those. So I'm going to turn all these off, just do some little adjustments on these layers. So let's go in here and just use this tool here, take off a bit. Double click, just delete, Control D. So it's nice and sharp now. Okay, I'm going to jump down to this one now. I'll do the same here. Double click. Okay, that's good. Put that image back on. There's a little bit showing through there, so I'm just going to use the move tool just to move this up very slightly. You can see I can build something up really nicely if you spend a bit of time and you know, put some nice curves and things on there. It can look really nice. So I'm just going to save this out now once again. And the great thing about it is that you only have to do it once, because it's in the template. Every page you have will be the same, you know, because in this template. So if we do changes to the posts, all of your post pages will be the same because they'll have the template applied to them. So this is a big plus. So there it is there. That's the new sharpened bits. So I'm going to upload without cropping. And this should look a lot better. There we go, nice points on there. And that all fits nicely. So I think I'll take this and add a little bit of a spacing in there, bring it down a bit. Save. And hit the refresh. And there we go. So you can see, you can make it look, your blog, main top blog page can look completely different. Now also down here, people have used the same colours in as the standard, and it's good to change this around. So you can come in here and do a few changes like this, search buttons, these kind of things. You know, you can change them all to like a blue search icon. Notice it's blue in there. Change that to a blue there. The blog title, let's put that in a blue. You can see it's gone on there. And author name colour, description colour. You can put a bit of padding in here if you wanted to. And I want to move this up. So I'm going to click on this main block and I'm going to go into settings. Sorry, I'm going to go into this dynamic block. I'm going to go to settings. And I'm actually going to spacing at the top. I'm going to do -200. And that's probably going to knock it up too far. Yeah, it's too far. So let me come in here. Let me come into this one. Let's try 450 there. That's better. Try 440. 430. Let's try 420. Let's try 400. Okay, I want to knock it up as far as I possibly can. So I'll try 380. 360. we're getting close now. Oh, a bit too much. That's good. Save that. Okay, let's check it out now. And that looks good. All right, so next thing to do is to do something with this image here, because it looks nice, but we can make this look a lot better. So we're going to go back into our pixel art. I'm going to change this around. So I'm going to go into my page. I'm going to go into the blogs, and I just want to show you that inside this blog page, if we go over this, our recommended image size is 1000 by 500. So that's what we're going to work to. So let us create a new document. Let's open an image up first. I'm going to click open, and we're going to go and find a good image to use. Okay, I'm going to use this one. I'm going to click open. Here it is here. I'm going to go in and change the image size. I'm going to go image size. I'm going to make sure this is 1000, and it's by, notice it's 672, so it's not 500. We need to change that. I'm going to click apply. It's going to reduce this down to the exact size we need. Now I'm going to go into canvas size, and on my canvas size I want to pull in from the bottom rather than the top, and I'm going to put this down at 500, and I'm going to click apply. And now we have an image that is 1000 by 500, which is this. Okay, so we can play around with this, and in fact you can use parts of this if you want to. So if I come in here and I press Control A to select all, or you can go to select all, and we can go now copy, jump into this, press Control V, and it's going to paste it in. We need to zoom out because it's quite small, and I'm going to just bring this down. And what you can do is you can start to play around and add these elements inside here for your images. So I'm going to come in here, put that in there. I'm going to come across to there, grab the next one. I'm going to press Control C. It's already selected, so I'm just going to press Control C, jump back in here, Control V to paste it in. And now we can start to put this kind of like this, maybe a bit smaller here. Something like that. Jump back into here, grab the last one, copy it back into here, paste it, bring it down in size. And I think this is the biggest one, so I might have to change the order a little bit, but that's alright. Let's jump across to this one, bring it up, grab this one here, bring it up. Oops, sorry, this one. Let's put that one there. Change the angle of that one a little bit. I'll turn this one on. I'm selecting them all now by holding the shift, and let's be good there. Right, let's take this bottom layer, use this lasso with the polygon tool. I'm going to click in here and just drag in under. I'm going to go around the outside. I'm going to double click. Now I'm going to delete It's going to get rid of that bottom. So now I'm going to create a new layer here, just a new empty layer, and I'm going to fill that with white. So I'm going to come down here, I'm just going to fill it with a white, drop it in there, just need to drag this below, and there we go, we've got something like that. So you could create a different kind of look. I think also over here I might just do something else. I might create a new layer here. This is just to give you some ideas to play around with while you're working with these things. So I'm going to take this, maybe do something like that, yeah, and then I'm going to take this one, I'm going to duplicate it, and then I'm going to actually delete out the middle. So if I turn this one off, you're going to see what's going to happen. I'm going to delete the middle out there, Control D. So I've deleted that middle. We still got it there because it's underneath it. This is on top. Now I'm going to use an effect in here. I'm going to come to an adjustment effect, and I'm going to go to hue saturation, and I'm going to saturate it down so it's black and white. I'm also going to darken it. I'm going to click apply. Now I'm going to turn this one back on, and you've got this kind of effect. So like a sort of sunrisey type effect. Now we've got this. This is all the right size. So I can come into this now and I can save it. Let's just save it out as post 1. I'll save it as a JPEG, quality 100%. Notice it's 1000 by 500. I'm going to click download. It's going to open up in Photoshop because that's my default application, but it's still in there. So now I can come into this and I can change this over. If I come into my downloads folder, which is here, you're going to see you got this post 1. I'm going to click open. I'm going to drag it to the full size, which is like that. And then I'm going to click crop and save, and that will load in there. And there we go. So I'm going to click update now, come in here, refresh this, and now we've got something like this. So you can see you can completely change it. Now obviously we've got this cheat sheet thing at the bottom, so you can put whatever blocks you like. I've just put this block in there. You don't need this block. Take this block out. You can add a new block underneath if you wanted to. There's lots you can do. There's also more that you can do by using CSS as well, coding. But if you don't want to use coding, you can see how you can still get really good effects by just being careful with the images and changing the way the images work. So I go here. I'm just going to bring this up a bit because it's a little bit too low. But you know, it changes things, so you can see how you can use these different things. Now if I wanted to put something at the bottom, maybe I want to take what I've got here and I want to maybe use some of this for the bottom elements. Well, I could just take these pieces here, if I just shift select them, and then I'm zooming out using the scroll wheel, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to rotate these round. So I'm going to go in and Control D again. Let me just take this from the side here and go into layer or image rotation. Let's rotate it, flip it vertically. So I've got something like this going on. And what I'm going to do, So I'm going to use this for a bottom layer. So you're going to see how you can reuse parts for other areas. So I've got that there, and I'm now going to come in and take part of this for the bottom. So I'm now going to take this, I'm going to export this out, and I call it base JPEG, 100% high, download. Okay, now I'm going to go back into my page and I create a new block at the bottom, just an empty block. I'm going to come into that empty block, go into settings, I'm going to go into background image and upload. I'm going to go and select from my downloads folder this base image. I'm going to click open, and I might actually crop this as well. Crop and upload. Okay, there we go, we've got a swoosh thing going on at the bottom. So again, you can add more space to that if you want to, using the default bits in there. Add a bit of weight that side, come back into this, and now at the bottom you've got this going on. So you see, really quickly playing around with different images and really sort of getting to know and play around with your image editing program, you can create some dramatic effects. So I'm going to show you my blog now that I've done, which is basically using some squares, and it's basically into a black background. So here is my blog that I've got. There is a bit of CSS going on in this because I've got rid of the categories and things like that, but you can see I've also added a navigation up the top there, but you can see that I've just added that block. This is just an image, half of this an image, and this top block is just black, and then I've also got that going on down the bottom as well. And as you go into each of the pages, then you'll also see the same thing happening inside the page as well. I've got that top image, and then I've got the bottom image. I've put a button in there as well. So you can see you can get some really dramatic effects, a bit like this. You just need to spend a bit of time. Now the great thing about this is if you make changes to this blog page, and especially to the actual main page, the post page, which is this page here, every post that you do will have that formatting in it. So you've only got to do it once, set it up so it all looks lovely, and then every time you create content it will be held inside that template. And the same applies for the main blog post itself. You know, you've got that main blog page that goes into it as well. So I hope you'll play around and experiment with the blog, because you can really do some amazing things in there. Of course, you know, you've got this search feature in here as well. I didn't want the search feature in here, so I turned it off, and I've basically got links going through to all of my areas, just because that I prefer it to work that way myself. But you know, this search functionality in these pages is really good as well. So guys, hope you've learnt a little bit from this, especially about sort of getting creative with it, thinking about what you want to do. Try to be a little bit careful, as you saw with me when I first did this block. It was too high, so it was knocking everything down too much. So be conscious of that and try and keep things a little bit tighter, maybe less white space in there, because you are held within that block, so you'll be pushed down into other areas. You can get around it, but it requires coding, and I really didn't want to go into coding for this. If you look at my main blog page, which is here, you'll see that it actually goes underneath, and that was done by using a bit of coding and stuff to get it to drop underneath. It's just carefully playing around with it. I'm going to be extending and showing CSS techniques and HTML techniques in the Ninja Tricks course that's in the masterclass bundle anyway. But guys, it's just to open your minds up on what you can do inside using templates, those two templates, the main blog page, which is this one, and then the actual article pages and the course category pages, the blog category pages themselves. You can do this effect in there easily, and create some really cool looking different blogs. So you'll be different from anyone else that's got it on the Zenler site. Okay, so I think my blog here is completely different to anybody else's blog because I've set it up and done it in my own style. And it would be good for you guys to show some examples of what you've done using these techniques that I've taught you inside of this askzenler.